Oh, hello again. Welcome to Portland, Maine, Portland International Jetport in Maine here. And that down there is the mighty SAAB. And you might be asking yourself, well, the mighty SAAB is not X-Plane 11 compatible, is it? And the answer is kinda, sorta. The disclaimer box right on the upper right-hand corner of your screen says it all. This is version 1.4. It's actually 1.41, and it is not fully compatible with X-Plane 11. The performance is off. I've been unable to get the Autopilot really to hit targets right. First, I had some trouble with my powered yoke, and it was causing an oscillation, but I got rid of that. And I even tried it with a joystick and with no yoke at all, and I got kind of, sort of, a little bit of joy, but not much. It is not up to their normal standard. They acknowledge it, but at leading edge. But bravo to them for releasing it anyway, so that we can play around. Now we're going to go from here to Martha's Vineyard, where the weather is frightful. And we might have to do the entire thing by hand. So that's going to be fun. The other challenge is I've been unable to fully get the Garmin the Garmin Reality XP GPS working with it integrated properly, I should say. So that is going to present some difficulties too. Let's just set our altimeters here, and let me show you the route. This is also X-Plane 11.05. It's got, that's not the route, it's got some performance improvements as well as new airports, and the performance improvements are not inconsiderable. They really add a little juice to it. But there's some, I've noticed at least, and this could be my video card driver, there's some drawing artifacts, a few shadow artifacts, and it's a little bit funky. So anyway, we're going, oh, you know what? We still have Bangor plugged in there, so we want to go actually from Portland. So let me just stick that in there. KPWM, and oh, it's still not doing it. Let me just start a new one right here. Bim bam boom. KPWM to KMVY. There we go. Now we're going to go out of here on the Portland 3 or 4 departure, which is the only one that's available for non-turbojets. And believe me, this thing climbs so poorly that it barely qualifies as a turboprop, at least until you get going. So we are going to fly at 16,000. I don't think we're going to be able to get up much higher than that. As a matter of fact, we'll probably start descending right about here. Here's how we're going to do it. We're going to go direct to CK. You know what? It's Boston. He's from there. I wonder if this was named after Louis C.K. I'll bet it was. All right, and then we're going to take the mighty V167 airway, and we're going to take that all the way to peak, which will put us onto our, that's our initial approach fix for runway 24, and that's the ILS, and that's really the only one we're probably going to be able to fly. It looks like it's 200 feet overcast, which is going to be wonderful, And wind, good. Wind is favorable, so we don't want to have to do anything funky like circle at 182 feet, which we wouldn't do anyway. And coming out of here, the wind, I looked at the windsock, and it does not agree with the forecast, but we'll go by the windsock. Not exactly sure why, but there you have it. Anyway, the other thing is, I haven't flown this airplane in a wicked long time, as they say around here. We're just going to do a battery start, and this is actually a pretty easy plane to get going and turn around quickly. However, it's unergonomic. None of the switches and things are where in logical places, or they're kind of just sort of spattered all over the place. But turn on the beacon because we're going to start soon, and turn on and reset our gens. Just reflexively do that, because if you forget to do that, it will not kick over to the gens, and you'll just slowly drain your batteries, and you'll wonder why you're hosed. All right, so for the moment, that's what we got. We have no vehicles around us, and we're just going to pull on out of here ourselves. We don't really want that tug there, but there it is. So let's make sure our levers are where they should be, which is start for the condition levers and ground idle for the power levers. This is not one of those planes where you let it spin up and then you move the levers to start. As a matter of fact, if you put them both in fuel cutoff, the starter motor won't engage. So, or at least, well, you know what? Let's try it. I don't think they will. Watch this. We go like this, go up here, and no, nothing. So if you ever follow what you think are all the right procedures and then you flip that switch and nothing happens, it's probably because your condition levers are just a little bit out of position, so you should check them. So it doesn't really matter which side we start first at this point. There's no equipment, nothing around them. Our SOP says do whatever turns you on, so we'll do number one first. Watch the temps, make sure there's oil pressure, and there is. Oil temperature is fine. We're not in cold weather operations. And in a second, we'll get fuel flow. It'll automatically kick it in. And there we go. And you know, it just occurs to me, I don't know if we took on fuel. All right, well, we'll cheat here. It's a very, very, very bad thing I did. Bad. I do have fuel, but I do not have payload. All right, we'll load some people on here. All right, now let's just all right, now we're in business, and now we can start number two. Ideally, we should have checked the battery temperature first, but we're not in cold weather operations, and we're fine, and we're getting plenty of juice, and everything is cool. And let's check our start here, and in the meantime, we can move our number one. Actually, we can move both of them up now. We got starter cut out up to min. What that's going to do is it will run the props up. The prop governor will catch and basically regulate the props. We pause there for 10 seconds to let them stabilize so that we don't snap one off or something like that, because you know how painful that can be. And we will move them to max, because that's the only way we get adequate juice here. And we can reset the gens one more time, and in a second these lights will go out and we'll start drawing power from them. We can also reset our bleeds. There we go, we're clean there. Boom, we're clean there. Let's just see, make sure our standby pitot heat is on. The other one is on automatically. I'm going to put on windshield heat out of an abundance of caution, both for bird strike protection, because we might be flying into some minor league icing. There's a SIGMET off to our west and southwest for convective activity. We're going to try and dodge it. I hope the autopilot works, but I have my doubts. And in the meantime, we can turn on our avionics and let the reference spheres spin up. We've got Marconi in here. Let's just put Marconi in the nav2. That's a big old powerful VOR on the, it's technically called the lower cape, but it's actually the upper cape. It's the upper end of the arm there. All right. And in a second, we'll pop in our flight plan and see if we can make that work. Probably as in Louis. Okay, verified. And from there we can load airway. We'll load E167 and we will take it all the way to peak. That airway, and we'll add Martha's Vineyard, and we'll add the procedure for it. And we'll do the ILS 24, transition, peak, and we will load but not activate, and then we'll come on up here. And since our departure procedure is basically just vectors, and it doesn't even list it, it's basically just vectors and then direct to our first intersection. We are not going to even be able to do anything there, so we won't. And that is activated. And let us see whether we can get it to present. This could be... All right. And we cannot. So I think we're going to end up using this for advisory purposes. And so we'll go direct Marconi, then direct peak. We will, you know, first of all, I don't think this connects up either, but let's find out. It sometimes does, it sometimes doesn't. Watch when I switch it off of standby. No, it doesn't. But let's just see, is there anything else we can do to make this work? Well, I'm just going to turn this on right now. We're squawking on the ground. Set our continuous torque on takeoff there. We won't arm it just yet. Select auto coursen. We will bug our climb, which we'll do at 140. We will also, let's just see if we can get our weather.
Portland INTL Jetport Information Victor. 1900 Zulu weather. Wind 190 at 8, visibility 7. Sky conditions 400 overcast, temperature 19, dew point 19. Altimeter 2982. Arriving runway 18, departing runway 18. Advise on initial
Alright, 182982. I'm going to check the windsock just to be sure, because I'm not sure I believe that. I'm not sure I believe that at all. Take off with flaps 15. It's about a 6,100 foot strip. And what I cannot get to present is where it says LRN1. I wonder if turning on this will help or will flummox it. This is its own built-in GPS. Well, we'll try for minimal flummoxing, but let's just see here. See if our settings are wrong. They probably are. Let's try now. See if we can make it work. We might have to restart the thing. Let's restart the thing. Just make sure it's in GPS. Sometimes when it's in vlog mode, it screws it up. We'll kill it and bring it back. Sorry about that. I should have stored the flight plan, but I'm an idiot. Just want to hear the TAWS test again. I mean, don't you? All right.
TAWS system test okay.
Love it. All right, CKN V167. It's not even painful to do this, folks. I mean, this is, you compare it to twiddling the knobs in the 430 or 530, and there's just no comparison. So I really want to get it going very badly. All right, KM. No, we're not going to Monterey. Let's just remove that. We're going to KMVY. That would be better, and that is confirmed. And we'll add a procedure, and it'll be that transition, peak, and done. All right, now again, this ain't taking it, but let's just, could it be that? It is not that. Could it be that? It is not that. All right, so what we'll do is we'll use it in an advisory capacity, and what we'll do is plug in our frequencies using this handy-dandy little thing here. So let's just tune Marconi, waypoint info, and it is 114.7, and we've got 114.7 on both sides. That is good. And go and check our localizer frequency for Martha's Vineyard. Let's see, that is, I'll bet you it's already in the standby. 1087, let's just check. I want the weather to be bad. And I want to hand fly it into bad weather. It's getting a little better. All right. and this is 1087 and 236. All right, so we're good to go there. Keep that in the corner of our eye. And just make a mental note that we are going to be flying in on the, looks like the 175, about the the 178. So, no, I'm sorry, the 182. All right, so let's just get that, might as well get that ready to go. So we'll set our course. 182. Notice how it pops up that little cheater right there, and I'll show you again. And the reason why that's there, and the reason why I've got this bound to a pair of keys, is because where they hide the course knob is right here. And when you're actually flying the plane, it's very convenient. You just let your right arm drop, and you twiddle it, and you keep looking ahead. And you keep looking at this. But, of course, you can't really do that. So, that is one of those, differences between real-world flying and fake world flying. And fake world flying, you sort of have to make compromises and adaptations. So we're going to be making a right turn here and a left turn here, and we're going to assume that we get cleared straight up to our altitude, and we're also going to hope that the autopilot works. We'll see if it captures the altitude, and it is enunciating right. It's in heading mode at the moment, but that's because it's in heading mode at the moment. And we'll set our runway heading, which is 18 something. And I've got that bound here as well. And actually, to intercept to join our radial, we will probably depart, and we'll turn about 30 degrees to the right. So, with all of that done, and all of the stuff attended to, I think, just check our views out here, make sure everything works. All right. Get our track IR nice and jumpy and nausea-inspiring, and we will try not to clip this truck, but we probably will. I don't like moving this plane using the map because it it generally doesn't work very well. The other thing you have to be aware of here is you have to do this and engage the tiller. I'm only going to use my left engine, and I think we cleared it. What I really should do also here is plug 1087 into our standby for nav2. That way I will be able to monitor when that comes in. And that will be good too. Matter of fact, I'm going to set the course for 236, have that ready to go as a reminder, because it's not so drastically different from the course we're going to be flying from peak. on the 167 that it's going to confuse us by looking at it. Although I suppose one should beware, because perhaps what it could tend to do is be close enough that it would confuse us. So I have to kind of burn that bridge when we get to it. There are a lot of big airplanes here, and I don't think Hawaiian Airlines flies here, but and the restaurant downstairs from me out the window here, the most delicious roasting garlic aromas are coming up. It's not even a good restaurant, but I mean, when you roast garlic and a little bit of ginger, it's like, it almost smells like a Chinese restaurant. It's really good. All right, so the windsock is agreeing with our ATIS, thank goodness. Basically, what the drill is going to be is we're going to advance our power levers to about 80%, or where 80% corresponds to, but at 64%, the C-top will catch and it will automatically advance them to whatever we set. In this case, it's 100. Well, I'm at it. Turn our bleeds off too, because it'll give us a little more power for takeoff. Not much. All right, just check our. Love this. I mean, this is the other thing. I mean, you get safe taxi diagrams. So we're on Charlie, making for Juliet. And there is Juliet. And we're going to use the full length, because when you see, even though this airplane now apparently performs a little bit too good, boy, it still performs sluggishly. And that's not a problem with the plane. It is an accurate representation of the plane. So that's how that works. Okay, there is runway 8, and at least it's identified on the chart. We'll identify it in real life. That's another benefit to this thing. Superimposes a compass rose. We are pointing north. Our DG says we're pointing, HSI says we are pointing north. Our compass says we're pointing north. We're pointing north. I believe that's the, I don't know, it's a hold short line, and I see nothing except clouds. Let's turn on our landing lights, turn on our strobes. The yaw damper stays off. Check our trim. A little bit nose, oops. Nose low. Check our C-tot. Okay, set our parking brake briefly. Okay, now we can arm our C-tot. Cut that down to a key as well. All right. You can see this is our, although it's not the correct radial, we're coming in on the 182, or the inbound on the 302, and as you can see, we're going to take off. We're going to make a slight right turn here. And now that the runway is identified and runway heading is set, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a heading to intercept, or actually to join our airway. So we will depart in heading mode and climb mode, and we'll do a quick control system check. And if we were any better to go, we would be selling tickets. I have no idea what that means. Condition levers are full, flaps are set, bleeds are off, and we have to remember to turn them on. Lights are on, signs are on. Everything is cool and everything is in the green. So watch. I'm going to bring our keep the brakes on, and you'll notice these engines do not necessarily respond evenly, so you have to be careful. Now you notice the CTOT catches and brings them forward, and that's good. And now we're going to rotate around 115. Okay, 80 knots. Gets a little squirrely sometimes, but that's mainly my own technique. Okay, and oops, load some weather right now, that's always good. And let's go flying. Now you see how sluggish it is? Semi-positive rate. Gear up. And you notice how the flight director bars are still down because it wants us to accelerate, so we will. There we go. We'll fly right up to the bars and trim up a little bit. Ignore the clouds going by outside. In fact, let's just focus in on our instruments here. Okay, we'll bring our props back slightly because we're at our acceleration altitude. We'll raise our flaps. In a second, we'll rebug to 160. And now we'll switch into nav mode. Acquire our radial. Now I'm not doing anything with the autopilot yet because I just don't want to fight with it just in case. So we'll just bug up 160 now. Okay, and we accelerate and up we go. I'm going to take out the CTOT. That's a problem. Take out one of the CTOTs. All right, there we go. All right, retrim a little bit. Take a look at our torque. We can get all the way up to 900 degrees on the temps, so let's just bring our power up a bit. You notice we sank a bit. That is primarily because when you turn off the CTOT, the power reverts to where your levers were, and it's very hard to get it just right. All right, there we go. And we're at 4,000 feet, and we should be in nav mode right there. We are. Let's see if it drives the flight director correctly. If not, we'll fly off of the HSI alone. God, I hope it does. And once you get this plane trimmed out, it is a wonderfully benign aircraft to fly. It does what you want it to do, and it goes where you want it to go. It's not sprightly, but it's gentle, as long as you don't get behind the power curve. Matter of fact, let's see how the autopilot handles it. Let's see if the autopilot handles it. It's more accurate. All right. It doesn't hurt that we've got it exactly set up for success. So I'm just going to take my feet off the rudder pedals so as not to spook it. And let's just see if it grabs that radial. And again, as you can see, it's not exactly rocketing skyward, shall we say. But what we can do now is, since we're going to start getting in altitudes, is reset our bleeds. And you can't just turn them on, you have to reset them, recycle them. All right, 7,000, let's see where we are. Now it says we're already to the right, of course. On the other hand, this says we're not, and that's probably why, because I'm flying direct. I've got it set up to fly direct too instead of on an intersection, so we're really not joining the airway at this point. We will. Actually, we weren't going to anyway, but we're going to join it more like here. Let's see. 86 away. Let's just cross-check that more or less with our flight plan. 24, then... Yeah, we're 86 miles away from Marconi, and it matches the radio information. So, all right, we're in the neighborhood. And I don't think we are going to make our cruising altitude. As a matter of fact, I'm almost certain we will not. So the thing to do there would be to be a little more pessimistic here. So let's just come on down. Make it 12. All right. Heavens to Murgatroyd. I think, remember, we're far away from the station, so it's not going to turn very suddenly, and it is going to wait until it's just a couple of degrees deflected. And even less, because look at the wind that's going to be blowing us to the left of the airway. So let's see how it handles it. I don't even think it's going to stop at the correct altitude, because it has shown a tendency not to, but we'll see. Let's see if it is any better if it's in IAS mode. I don't think it matters, but we can also bring up our power a bit here. Now, we're going to be temperature and not torque limited, I think, but we'll see. Okay, a little bit hot. A little bit hot. All right, yeah, we are temperature limited. In other words, we're going to reach maximum temperature before we reach maximum torque. All right, 1,000 away. Let's see what it does. I'll be very happy if this works. Not that I don't like to hand fly, but hand flying at cruising altitude is kind of unnecessary, busy work. All right, we'll do the flight sim thing and turn off our landing lights at 10,000 feet. let's see. Now you notice how it's tracking a little bit above. And what I've experienced is it just keeps sort of creeping up. And it is. And it never hits altitude acquire. It never acquires altitude. All right, well. All right. I did not want that to happen, but okay. So, and the other thing it's not supposed to do, but it did, is disconnect with the trim set the way it is, but that's a function of my yoke. Wow, yikes. It's definitely a function of my yoke. So now, instead of leaving it in a nicely trimmed state, which is what it should be doing, it leaves it in a nasty, untrimmed, full nose down state. And we're going to slowly, bit by bit here, work our way back to it. All right, there we go. The other configuration change we're going to make is we're going to bring up that torque because we're going to bring the props back down to about 12.5, which is actually going to take a bigger bite out of the air. If you notice, you see the torque needles creep up a little bit, and you see our altitude. Creep up a bit, so we're just going to level out. We're going about as fast as we can go. And we will be configured and trimmed out in a minute. In the meantime, let's just get that ready. So we want to be coming in on the 002, and we are. And we want to depart on the 228. And basically, all now we need to do is plan our descent. We want to be at 2,000 at peak, so let me just, well, unfortunately, well, here, I'll just, nice and trimmed, but I'll just descend us another 100 feet or so, get us where we're going. I am barely touching the controls, which is the way this is supposed to work. You notice we're in a little phugoid oscillation. In other words, the nose goes down, the speed comes up, the lift goes up, the nose rises and comes back down again. But it will settle around the trim speed. What I've done is I've pushed it off of equilibrium. But when you're this close, you don't want to tweak with the trim. You want to tweak with the control surface, get to the altitude you want, level off, hold the attitude and hold the altitude, and then retrim when the airplane settles down. Because what you're doing, whether you know it or not, is you're trimming for a fixed speed. All right, we're 62 away from Marconi, which is right there, after which we have to transverse Cape Cod Bay and then Nantucket Sound. And let's see what our temp is. We're in icing danger here, and I wish I could go work the controls right now. I will be able to in a minute. I'll trim down one notch. Just a little push there. Not too much. See, that's too much. Just a little tiny zots. And then trim so the forces go away. That's close enough for government work. We'll pull and push as need be. fix this is just by rolling off the power ever so slightly. Just get it into its happy zone. I'm just right in between trim settings here. And right in a little dead spot in the yoke, so there's going to be a little bit of fluctuation. All right, so we're going to depart Marconi at 228. And let's get our nice protection on. Oh, we're loading scenery. All right, well, let's hang on. Shit. Yep, loading scenery. Hang on. I need to put my ortho scenery on a SSD. That's the only way this is going to get fixed. I see I put the plane into an unstable state here while it was re-rendering. So, all right, there we go. More or less trimmed out, more or less altitude, and we will turn on the prop and engine anti-ice, and hope that we haven't ballooned into a steep climb in the meantime. All right, the other thing we're going to do is we're going to set our outgoing heading here to 228. Oops, not there. There. Okay, as a reminder, more than anything else. And we're going to plan our descent. So, autopilots are better than people for this sort of thing. All right, VCalc. And we want to be, that's fine, 2,000, yes, okay, yeah, that's good. Actually want to come down, yeah, that's about right too. All right, so we've got about 8 minutes to the descent. We do want to display that message. It should do that. We'll keep a note of it. At about 20 till, we're going to start coming down. So, go back to our map. Boom. You can see we got a nice stiff breeze going here. And I'm just barely touching the yoke, and it is a little too sensitive. But you know what we can do? Watch this. Through the magic of yoking, we can fix that just a little bit. Our profile manager here, and I'm going to set a little bit of backlash. Not backlash, we'll set a little bit of dead zone. That'll just keep us from being too. And the other thing I'll do is in X-Plane, we'll do this. Go into our controls, and some of this is applicable even if you don't have a control loading yoke or a control yoding loke. And just make that even more fine-grained here in the middle, which makes it more movement needed. so it's not as twitchy in the middle. All right, now let's see how we get on as the great Rich at Flight Sim 481 would say. Ooh, I think that's better. Wow, that's good. All right, so we're 40 from Marconi. We're going to start descending in 5 minutes. We'll aim to descend at our maximum speed at a descent rate of about 1,200 feet per minute. That'll also get us down to 2,000 feet with enough time, enough distance to slow down for the approach, so we can fly a fairly stable approach. I'm hoping. Let's fix our altitude a little bit here. And again, I'm doing this right now with just the tiniest little bit of wrist pressure. It's even harder it is even harder to do this with a yoke like a Cytec yoke, because there's so little travel, so there's so little resolution that you really you end up jerking the plane all around the sky. And it's hard enough to get it set up like this. And I'm sure I don't have it configured as nicely as it could be, but I'm getting there. And it is not a pain to hand fly. It's just when you fly IFR by hand and you're in an airplane that's normally operated by 2 people, and you got to move your head and your eyes around every place and all the rest of that, you know, it can present problems. All right, so in a second we're going to descend. Well, in 4 minutes we're going to descend. You can see we are not really following the GPS track, but we are following the specifications of the airway, so and I'm doing my best to follow the flight director, and you can see our course is fine. That's the other sort of primary CDI. It's nice to have both. That changes into a little runway when you're on a localizer. I'm still oscillating a bit, as you can see. That's pretty damn good. I'm hands off now. It's a little bit trim nose high. All right, well, we'll do what we can do. And we're coming up on our TOD. Let's just see. Minutes and 54 seconds. We're looking pretty good. This does not actually work if you operate it from here, at least not currently. And again, that could be my own problem. Landing this plane is also challenging in that it doesn't glide especially well, it doesn't float much at all, and the difference between too fast and too slow is pretty slim, and it tends to kind of fall out of the sky. And the performance is not as it should be in X-Plane 11, so it's hard to know how much of that is simply because of the platform at the moment. But it's just too damn nice a plane, and I'm a turboprop slut, and it's got great systems, and it's got great stuff for presenting navigational information. It's a sort of miracle of 1980s technology. You can see how pilots who were raised to fly slant alpha could look at this and think of it as sort of the pinnacle of engineering at the time, because it really was. So, for example, let me just get rid of this. Just flop this over the localizer here. Get that ready to go and stand by. Message: approaching top of descent. That's pretty slick. Let's see if it tells us we're at top of descent. It does. It'd be silly not to. It should say descend now at some point. Said it would be silly not to, and it doesn't. Okay, well, that's good. All right, so it warns us we're about to hit our top of descent. So what we're going to do is, as we get close to Marconi, is we're going to roll off the power. To a nice 1,200 foot per minute descent. We will set 4,000 here. Twiddle this knob while we fly the plane. There we go, right about there. That's about right. Trim for that. Set our floor. And watch what we do here now. Come on, there we go. And then what we do is we set IAS. Now our flight director will descend to meet us. We will hold that speed, and we'll adjust the rate of descent with the power. In other words, we're going to be doing just what the autopilot would be doing. And since we want about a 1,200 foot per minute descent, we'll bring in a little power. Now we would be doing this ourselves. Now right over the cone of confusion, and we just crossed the station, and I'm going to bring our course to 228, and let's turn to 228 as well. we'll probably have to cut in on it a little bit. There we go. Just monitoring our speed. You can also monitor the speed deviation here. So it says we're just slightly fast, and we are just slightly fast. So I'm going to roll off a little bit of power. And let's turn us to, well, about like that. Because we're still confused cone-wise. There we go. That's about right. Let's wait for that to come in. And we need to descend a little bit more steeply, so we'll roll up some more power. Nose down to hit the speed. Retrim. And let's go down at about 1,500 feet per minute. There we go. And we're coming in on our radial. And we'll fly that to peak. And once we get to peak, we will set a course of 236, intercept the localizer, and be on our merry way. And then land this plane, which is fun, shall we say. Let's get the auto coursing on. All right, so there we go. We're inbound peak. And we're in good shape. 2985 is our local altimeter. There we go. We do not have the localizer yet. That bearing needle, we don't need it. And we're trimmed right now for this descent rate, so we're considerably nose down. When we hit 2,000 feet, let's see, how far are we from peak right now? We are, I think peak is 32 miles, so actually we can shallow this out. So let's do that. Roll in a little bit more power. A little bit early. Let's see, to peak, got 18 miles, and we only have to come down 2,500 feet, so. Well, actually 4 miles before peak, so at 12 miles, we can come down pretty damn slow, right about there. Retrim. We'll let ourselves slow down also. Yeah, 32 miles from Marconi is peak, so we're halfway there. We're in good shape. And we're coming in expeditiously, so we want to sail over the fence at about 118 knots. Any slower than that, and we'll be sinking, and our nose is going to be too high. Any faster than that, and we'll float halfway down the runway, and still it'll feel like we're falling out of the sky. So, go figure. Alright, no localizer yet. mess with that yet. Oops. Continue to track outbound on the 228. And I'm just going to make a reminder to myself by bugging up 236 for the heading. Be nice if I could do it. There we go. Oops. And actually, let's just double check that. Come on. There we go. 236, yes. 236, 1087. All right, again, we're chugging in a little fast, but we've got time to slow down. Okay, 1,000 to go. We're in really good shape. We're 7 miles from peak. Nice and stable. There's our localizer. Peak will put us practically right on it. Okay, 2,700. I'm going to start to do two things. I'm going to start to reduce power. Reduce power to about 30-40% torque right there. Going to hold that pitch. Just glancing over at the localizer. Okay, and we'll level off, and we'll rebug our speed. There we go, and we'll slow. Here comes peak. And let's switch over to our localizer. And let's switch our course to 236. Let's not get below our altitude. There we go. All right. Let's get ourselves established here. And slow down. Bring our props to full. Retrim, retrim, retrim. There we go. Come on. A little bit of a downdraft too. See, look at our pitch. Our pitch is pretty steady, and yet descent rate was all over the place. All right, so we're 10 miles out. We're just waiting for the glide slope and retrimming. And I'm going to bring out the gear. Let's get ourselves configured early. Okay, there we go. We have 7 knots coming right off our nose, it says, but it seems to be gusting. Let's just work our way back in to the localizer. Set that as our course. Make small corrections. And here comes the glide slope. We're going to bring our power back when we start going down to approximately 25%. Not trimmed out well. Don't like that. And we're getting flounced around a little bit too. There we go. Okay, 4 miles out. Just a little bit low. Come on. Trying to get the trim into some decent state here. It's not easy. I am a little bit fast. There we go. Ah, thank you. Trim is a little bit slow. Now we're going to slow down. We're 4 miles away, 1,200 feet. Almost bang on, just ever so slightly low. We can fix that. And I actually need a little bit more power. But not a lot. There we go. 3 miles, 900. That's dead on. .700 feet per minute. That's good. Okay, 600. 2.5 miles.
500.
Looking good. Speed is good. Okay, 400. Start looking for the runway, and there it is. See how we're kind of falling out of the sky here? Landings for the price of one, kids. Did not touch down firmly enough is what I did not do. Alright, just get the hydraulic little thingy in. And up come the flaps. And off come the landing lights. taxi lights. And my lesson is to stay a bit more ahead of the trim because I was fighting the controls. That's why you saw those oscillations near the end. But that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun, and basically we did it slant alpha. And we did it by hand, and that makes it a little more satisfying, I guess. So, I'm a happy boy. We can call that mission reasonably well accomplished. And welcome to Martha's Vineyard. So, with any luck, they'll be working on some more compatibility for the plane, and with any luck, I'll get it to cooperate with the Autopilot, and with any luck, we can get it to work with the Garmin. And in the meantime, we can just enjoy the fact that it looks beautiful already, and it's a great way to fly. So, see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.